For decades, the story we were told about the Vietnam War began with a single dramatic event, the Gulf of Tonkin incident. On August 2, 1964, the U.S. destroyer Maddox was reportedly attacked by North Vietnamese torpedo boats. 2 days later, a second, more ferocious attack was said to have occurred. This second incident was the final straw. President Lyndon B. Johnson went on national television, telling the American people about these unprovoked attacks on the high seas. Just days later, Congress overwhelmingly passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, giving the president broad authority to escalate military action in Vietnam without a formal declaration of war. This was the moment that opened the floodgates, leading 2 years of conflict, the deployment of millions of American soldiers, and a war that would define a generation. It all seemed so clear-cut. America was responding to aggression. But what if that story wasn't true? What if the very foundation of America's full-scale involvement in Vietnam was built on a lie? Let's rewind to that second alleged attack on August 4th. The crew of the USS Maddox and the USS Turner Joy reported enemy torpedoes in the water. There was chaos, frantic maneuvering, and lots of firing into the dark, stormy night. But even in the heat of the moment, doubts began to surface. James Stockdale, a pilot flying overhead, famously said he had the best seat in the house to watch that event, and our destroyers were just shooting at phantom targets. He saw no enemy boats, no torpedo wakes, nothing. Back in Washington, intelligence analysts were also skeptical. The sonar readings were inconclusive, likely caused by the bad weather and the ship's own propellers. Within hours, the captain of the Maddox himself sent a cable urging caution, suggesting the initial reports might have been wrong and that a complete evaluation was needed before any further action was taken. Despite these immediate and serious doubts, the official narrative pushed forward. Why? The political climate of the 1960s was dominated by the Cold War and the domino theory, the fear that if one country fell to communism, its neighbors would follow. President Johnson's administration was already looking for a way to justify a stronger military presence in Southeast Asia to support South Vietnam. The Gulf of Tonkin incident, whether real or imagined, provided the perfect opportunity. It was the public justification they needed to do what they already wanted to do. In the years that followed, as the war dragged on, key figures began to admit the truth. Declassified documents and internal memos, released much later through the Freedom of Information Act, confirmed what many had suspected all along. A 2005 report from the National Security Agency's own historian concluded that there was no second attack on August 4, 1964. The intelligence had been misinterpreted, and some officials even deliberately skewed the facts to fit the desired narrative of North Vietnamese aggression. So, was the Vietnam War based on a lie? When we look at the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, the legal and public justification for America's massive escalation, the answer is a resounding yes. The second incident, the one that triggered the congressional vote, simply did not happen. This wasn't just a simple mistake. It was a case of ambiguity being twisted into certainty to serve a political agenda. The consequences were staggering. The resolution opened the door to a conflict that cost over 58,000 American lives and millions of Vietnamese lives, dividing a nation and leaving scars that are still felt today. Understanding this history isn't about assigning blame decades later. It's a powerful lesson about the importance of truth, the dangers of rushing to war, and the critical need for skepticism and accountability from our leaders, especially when the stakes are life and death. History reminds us that the first casualty of war is often the truth. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history.